thank you all for coming. There's a lot of people here from different walks of life, and I think that just represents what kind of person Glen is. You know, there's biker people and construction people and marina people and friends of Bill's and family and so many friends, and you know, a lot of people that were in and out earlier. So I really appreciate all the love and support today. Glen and I were married for a short time, but I don't know if many of you know that we've known each other since we were little kids. We used to have some pretty competitive kickball games at Prudence Crandall Elementary School. I used to avoid the crowd that seemed to form around him as he literally fought his way through junior high at JFK. And then by the time that we reached Fermi, we pretty much went separate paths. And I used to tell him that he was such a troublemaker growing up that was the reason why I didn't have anything to do with him. But the truth is that he pretty much had his head under the hood of a car all through his teenage years, and he didn't even really notice me. We didn't meet up again until 2011, and he told me that everything happens for a reason. We both obviously had things we had to go through and life lessons that we had to learn before God brought us together. And by no means was he a religious person, but he would tell people that he's spiritual. He had a deep respect for nature and liked being close to it. He saw symbolism in insects and animals, and if a monarch butterfly flew by, he would say, "Hi, Mom, it's all good. I'm fine." If there was a bald eagle soaring above, he would say, "Better be on my toes. That's Gary watching over me. He's my protector." Glen had an internal clock and a compass, which is great because I have none of those things. I have 3 GPSs in my car wherever I go, and I set my alarm about 6 times a day on my phone to make sure I get to where I need to be when I need to be there. I know for a fact that he never set an alarm one time in the last 11 years that we were together. He'd wake up when he was ready to. He would check the weather, the moon, the tides, the wind, drink his coffee, and depending on that information and his mood, he would then decide what his plan was. If it was gonna rain, he'd say, "Well, I can't open a roof today. I'm gonna go to my shop and work on my Monza." Or he would call Justin and say, "If we bang this job out in the next couple of days, we should get some good fishing in this weekend." I always called that living on Glen time. We are complete opposites, but we complemented each other. We brought out the best in each other, and I know I accomplished things with his love and support that I could never have done alone. And I like to think that I did the same for him. So that troublemaking tough guy turned out to be the most sensitive, caring, and honest man I've ever known. He always used to tell me life is too short. If you don't take time for friends and family, you're never going to have any memories. He'd say, when my life flashed before my eyes, and it happened more than once, I don't want to see all the houses I worked on. I want to see good times. He was my best friend and the better half of us. He was the love of my life and literally the life in my life. I don't know why he left me now. We literally did everything together, and we had so many plans to do more together. But I imagine he would have some snarky answer like, "Well, I'm obviously smarter than you, and you still have things that you have to go through and lessons that you have to learn." So I guess that's what I have to do. But I think I'm going to do it on Glen's time. I'm going to try to enjoy life more and appreciate my time with all of you friends and family. And if you can, I would appreciate it if you'd come up here and share some of your memories of Glen with the rest of us. Glen always loved sharing stories and spending time with all of you.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. Kristen, good job. I don't have anything prepared. This is very hard for me. But I do have a couple of things that I'd like to say and to share with you. And Kristen said, just talk about an adventure. Well, everything that Glen and I did, I'm Glen's father-in-law, by the way. Everything Glen and I did was an adventure. I mean, he was the kind of guy, and I don't have to tell any of you this, seeing all of you here is true testament as to how he touched all of you, and myself included. But one story which was very recently happened when we were sitting in the backyard about to have a hamburger. He was a hell of a cook. I mean, he liked to cook and barbecue all kinds of stuff. And we're sitting down, we're gonna have a hamburger, and the phone rang. And it was his friend, Gov, Mike. And Mike was broke down. He wasn't broke down, but he was in a group out for a motorcycle ride, and they were broke down in the west end of the state. And they needed help. And as everyone here knows, all you have to do is say you needed help, and Glen was there. And so Mike says, have you got a motorcycle trailer? One of the bikes in our group blew the clutch out. And Glen says, hey, give me your location, I'll be right there. And he says, yeah, I got a motorcycle trailer. And I'm looking at Glen thinking, you don't have a motorcycle trailer. So he says, I'll be there. He says, I'll be right there. Give me about a half an hour, and he took down the location. He hung up the phone. He says to me, hey, Gene, can I borrow your trailer? But that was Glen. I mean, that's how, he did that, and it was, I could go on and on. He had a whole bunch of those kinds of stories. He was that kind of a guy. I love him dearly. And I'll miss him dearly. Thank you.
Glen used to tell me, he started to cry. Glen was probably the only guy that ever seen me cry. Never crying about Glen.
Tell him you were Glen's best friend. Because you were.
Glen was my right hand man. He took me from a young man. I try to keep on the legacy, pounding those nails. He taught me how to work on trucks. My dad never did that. I lost my dad when I was 19. And my twin brother when I was 23. I met Glen when I was 24. I've been 37. 38. Holy shit. Share a lot of memories with G-Nice. I used to tell him that's his MC name. Money Mike and G-Nice. Glen did a lot for me. More than my own family. like my father, my brother. We share a lot of emotions. I know we're big construction guys. We went through a lot of girlfriends, a shitload of cars. You know, when Glenn said it's ready for the junkyard, it's probably ready for the junkyard. And then you got the boat. And that was cool. And then you finally got the fishing boat. That was the end of Harleys. I used to tell him, you can retire that thing. I'm gonna miss him a lot. Every day I go to work, I'm gonna think about him. This blows. I see everybody here, everybody's connected through Glenn. This isn't even a quarter of the people I've met through Glenn. Probably the most solid dude that I ever met in my life. And the other day, we were sitting in the truck, we had just ripped my truck apart in front of his shop. And I was gonna put it back together and limp it home on the hubs that I had, and Glenn said, you can't do that. He's like, what if your tire falls off? I'm like, it is what it is. So he gives me the keys to his spot truck. He's like, you're gonna come down to the marina with your kids, Father's Day. Well, that didn't happen. Glenn's truck blew a spark plug out. Because it must have been not screwed all the way in, so I called him. And he didn't answer it. I got a text. He said, I think I'm having a heart attack, but it wasn't in that exact text, it was gibberish. But I made sense of it. So I was like, fuck, I called him because all day he was texting me, dude, just come down the boat. Because I was telling him, dude, I want to see my kids, and me and Glenn will always, he used to go through problems with his family, and all he wanted to do was spend time with his kids. So he used to tell me, when I have my kids, he's like, you're going to do things with your kids that your dad didn't do with you. Be the bigger man. No matter what's right or what's wrong, do what's best. Think about it later. And that was Glenn. Never went saltwater fishing before either, before I met Glenn. Yep. I used to run his construction crew, and he used to come to the job, he'd always bring Gatorades, food. I got a picture of him coming off the roof. I remember taking that picture. I said, you're coming up on the roof. I'm getting a picture of this. Yeah. I'll never get that call back. That's all I got.
Good job, good job.
I'm gonna try and do this without losing it. I met Glenn in the 6th grade, I think. I was hesitant to meet this man. I was an angry teenager, and I looked for any reason not to like him. I didn't like how happy he was all the time, or how he would ask me a million questions, always wanting to know how I was doing. It was annoying. To be honest, at the time I didn't want him to get to know me. I had a guard up, and I had this opinion that he will just show his colors, his true colors in due time. But I was wrong, and he never changed. Every single day, he had that same smile on his face, and he was always so happy to see us come home. He even made breakfast on weekends. Then, one day in high school, I experienced my first heartbreak, and Glenn rolled up with a giant pickup truck to pick me up early from practice on a bench outside of Fermi High School, crying. On the way home, he stopped and got a container of Ben & Jerry's ice cream for each of us. And we sat at the table, and he made me talk. He actually sat there and listened to all the drama a 15-year-old girl thought was the end of the world with straight face, and let me know at that time that the cost of love is lost. It's a rite of passage, and you can't let it affect the way you love the next one. He had so much faith that I was going to be okay and move on to bigger and better that I believed it too. After that, he helped me fix up my first car, a 1999 manual Jeep Wrangler. He had the patience to teach me stick shift, first teaching me in St. Martha's parking lot, and then saying that the only way we're going to get home is if I get us there. He helped me get out of my comfort zone, and shortly after that, I ended up making a career out of that. I went to Norwich University, and I graduated and moved back home, and he bought me a Harley. He told me he would show me how to fix it up. He even helped me and my mom get our permits by attending a rider's course. That was probably one of the only fights we had. I had to yell at him for sneaking over the fence to take pictures and give us snacks. The recent past, one of the last times I talked to him, I asked him what he wanted for Father's Day. He said he didn't want anything because he already got everything he wanted. He was so proud of all of us. And at the time, I rolled my eyes and I thought it was cheesy. But I know that he meant it. I continuously got annoyed with him for announcing to random strangers in Home Depot or any other public place that his stepdaughter is a cop in a building. He'd tell everybody. And I told him, you can't do that. And he never cared. He would laugh mischievously and do it again next time. When I graduated the academy, he gave me a pocket knife. It's a cool knife. It's a Harley Davidson Sheriff's Edition. But then he told me a story about a man 20 some odd years ago who flipped a car in a DUI, and he was scared he was going to go to jail, but he told the officer he had a family he needed to take care of, and that he's going to get sober for them. And the officer told this man he's heard it 1,000 times, but he always gives people one shot at a second chance. And this officer gave him a pocket knife and told him to remember this day when he looks at it, and he hopes he does get sober. When I graduated the academy, Glenn handed me that knife with, again, total faith in me that I was going to be that type of person that will change lives for the better, giving people one shot at a second chance, and having faith in humanity. And again, him having absolute faith in me, I started to believe it myself. And it was with that belief I helped him get an absolute pardon, which he was granted shortly before he died. He slept with the binder of the paperwork I arranged for him on his bedside. All of these good things happening just to be cut short angered me. And on Sunday, a part of me reverted back to the angry teenager, not understanding why things are the way they are. But as I felt that anger rise in me, I knew if Glenn was here, he wouldn't let that happen. he would buy Ben and Jerry's ice cream and tell me again the cost of love is lost, but it's going to be okay. I don't know what I believe in, but my mom always says that you have to leave a space better than when you found it. That usually is in regards to bringing dishes to the sink, but it applies here too. I know that I'm a better person, a more resilient person than when Glen found me. In our family, we're stronger and more vulnerable with each other, more sensitive with each other, and appreciate life more than when Glen found us. And that, our love for him and his unwavering faith he had in us, is what will keep us forward. That's all I have to say. My sister's a better writer than me, so lower the bar. Alright. I knew better than to wear makeup today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda. I'm one of Glen's stepdaughters, amongst the other stepchildren. I was the one that pushed his buttons. Something Glen and I had in common is that we both had a lot to say about a lot of things, especially to each other. We fought a lot. And yet, ever since last Sunday, I've been speechless. I really don't know what to say. I don't have a particular story or memory that we shared together that I think could perfectly encapsulate our relationship or the way that we saw each other. So I'm just gonna try and tell you all a couple things about how we affected each other. I know, like many young people in this room, he's the only reason why I know how to put oil in my car. And I know that I am the reason why I'm 95% sure he did know the ways of feminism. I don't know if he's listening, but you heard it enough. I think you got in there. Glen is also the reason why I know how to stick up for myself and the importance of advocating for others. He's the reason why I know I'm capable of a lot more than I think. That not knowing something is actually an opportunity to expand my knowledge and not just a reason to run away. He's the reason why when I walk into a room full of strangers, my instinct is to keep my chin up and make eye contact and smile, which I'm trying to do with all of you because I'm terrified right now. What did I write? I can't read this. In Glen's absence, I'm going to have to remind myself of all of these lessons, and I'm sure the million other lessons that are just going to come as I continue to try and live my life, and we all continue to try to live without him. I didn't write down anything on how to end this speech because I truly didn't know what else to say. But I am eternally grateful to him for making me a better person, for loving my mom, and for just constantly allowing all of us a space to truly be ourselves. So sorry, guys.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm Glen's stepson. Glen was one of a kind. He had an enormous heart and was always there when you needed him. I don't think he would want us to be heartbroken today. He'd always tell me that in Mexico, funerals are like a party because they celebrate the life of the deceased. I'd like to think that other cultures are able to celebrate because they have a different outlook on the situation. So I'm gonna try and focus on some of the many good memories I have with Glenn. Backyard barbecues with you manning the grill. Family movie nights with the dogs snuggled up by your head, or on your head. Breakfast on Sunday morning where you'd make enough eggs and waffles for a small army. Late night physics projects where you designed and created a working catapult. I got an A on that. You in the passenger seat while I practiced driving to marching band practice. You didn't even scream when I almost killed us at the only four-way intersection on the way to Fermi. You were at every football game just to see me march at halftime. You sneaked hot chocolate under the fence for me and the rest of the French horn section, even though there was a strict rule about eating in uniform. You dropped everything and ran to my rescue when I was in my first fender bender, 4 hours after getting my license. You taught Amber how to drive stick shift, staying out late with her in the parking lot of St. Martha's while she stalled and beat the hell out of the clutch. You were at every graduation, every award ceremony, and every big event in our lives. You showed me what it means to be a good man. You don't need to be perfect. You don't have to be the strongest, the smartest, the richest. You need to be honest, genuine, and you need to show up. Everything else will fall into place. I don't think you imagine spending your time at band concerts, fall plays, and track meets, but you were happy as hell to do it because you loved us, and you loved our mom more than anything. On Friday before you left for the boat, I asked you, what do you want for Father's Day? Just like always, you've never given me a simple answer. Like, oh, I'd like this obscure tool you'd never think to get me. You said something with a grin. You said, Alex, you've already given me the best Father's Day gift at all. You're doing good at what you're doing. You're successful with a good job helping people. And that's all I could ever ask for. I think I responded with something like, yeah, that's very nice, Glenn, but with an answer like that, you're gonna get socks and a Home Depot gift card. You've never made me doubt where I stood in your eyes. Everyone who knew you felt special because you saw each and every one of us for who we really were. I'm heartbroken because you won't be there to keep us smiling, but I'm working on looking at things from another point of view. I'm working on celebrating because I knew you. Thank you all for coming, sharing, and being a part of many Glen stories.
My name's Dennis and I'm an alcoholic. Sorry, wrong meeting. You look so familiar, everybody. Glenn was a great friend of mine. He helped me tremendously when I entered recovery. You know, when you go to AA, things are pretty screwed up in your life, and he showed me that love was still there. And I don't want to make him out to be a sissy because he wasn't, but he had a real soft side to him. And we became friends real fast, and we had motorcycles, and we went to this one trip, and we were camping, and it was an AA thing, and everybody had tents. We showed up with campers, and I had air conditioning, and he had TV, but there was only one plug, so we fought over it. And it was hot, and I had my kids. He had a ton of kids with him, and all of a sudden my air conditioner stops, and I look out, and he's standing there with my plug in his hand. Friggin' jerk. So I let him watch TV for a little while, and then I went and unplugged his. So we did that till about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we got tired and went to sleep. I was out on a boat one time in Colebrook Reservoir, which is the way the hell out past Park Hampstead, and it was me and another friend, and I hear, "Hey, Mooney," and I'm like, "What the?" You know, this is like a secluded, you know, I'm the only boat out there, and again, "Hey, Dennis, Mooney," and I see, I'm like, "Where are you?" "Up here." And I can see somebody standing on a cliff pretty far away. And I said, "Who is it?" He said, "It's your higher power." I didn't know who it was for a week. And when I saw him, he said, "You know, I heard your higher power was watching you." "You bastard." And, you know, we went, that camping trip too, I woke up the next morning and my camper was all wrapped up in, excuse me, caution tape or police tape or something. Like, what the hell's wrong with this dude, you know? I got kids, for God's sakes. And he's looking through the window, laughing, and, you know, we got into the boats together. We used to ride all the time, and we'd call each other and bitch about boats, and we'd go out and fish, and sometimes we'd catch fish, and sometimes we wouldn't. We'd just talk, you know. And we always agreed that it wasn't about catching fish, it was about being out in the water and just loving life, you know. I got stuck in a snowbank one time, not too long ago. I bought a new truck, and it was you know, we had gotten a lot of snow, and I drove down a road that I'd driven down a bunch of times, and it was you know, it was worse than I thought. They backed up, and I got stuck, and sitting in my truck. I'm like, damn it, you know. And it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I don't remember, but it was a weeknight, right? It wasn't a weekend or anything. And I called Glenn and I said, "What are you doing?" And so I'm getting ready for bed. Or he was in bed, maybe, I don't remember. And I said, "All right, fine, I'll call somebody else." And he's like, "What's up?" And I said, "I'm stuck in a friggin' snowbank. And where are you?" And I said, "Well, you know," I told him where I was. And I said, "Listen, I'm gonna have to walk out because you're not gonna find me. It's like a dirt road." And I said, "Call me up when you're close and I'll walk out." And my phone rang like, I don't know, 10 minutes later, and I said, "Are you on your way?" And he said, "I'm here. Where the hell are you?" And I'm like, "You're here already? Are you in your pajamas, or you know what?" And you know, it wasn't an easy place to get down. I kind of misjudged a little bit, and he drove down and he pulled me out. And, you know, I offered to give him something. You know, I said to him, let me give you a gift certificate. You can, you know, go out to eat or whatever." And you know, he wouldn't take it. And he said, "You know, next time somebody calls you, you got to go help them." And you know, I've borrowed stuff from him. I'll be right over to get it. "Oh, no, I'll drop it off." You know, they're just so giving, you know. And you know, we had some really good times. And you know, I called him Friday night and said he was taking a Donzie down, and he sent me a text that said he had made it okay. And I almost wish he had trouble so I could have helped him. I'm just trying to remember how he helped everybody, and I'm gonna try and play that forward, you know. He's got a great family and a great bunch of friends, and it's just a reflection of what kind of guy he was, and I miss him. Thanks.
didn't have anything prepared. Shoot it from the hip. You know, I too met Glenn about 26 years ago through Alcoholics Anonymous. And we were both a mess. You know, and I can remember we were a couple months sober, and I was living in Stafford. Glenn was, I think he was living in Stafford. We were on Route 190 and we were headed up Summers Mountain. I was right behind him. And he looked in the mirror and he saw it was me. And he pulled over and went like this. He says, "Is that what they do in Alcoholics Anonymous? Follow you around?" And I was like, "No, buddy, I live up there." You know? That was when our relationship started. You know, thick and thin. He taught me a lot. Taught me a real lot. You know, true friend. True friend. Capital letters. You know, do anything for anybody. Big heart. First I want to say to Kristen and your family, he loved you guys. You know, the last 11 years he was so happy and content. You know, and I knew Glenn when things weren't all that good, and that was all right. You know, and he had a saying: "If I keep doing what I always did, I'm going to keep getting what I always got." You know, he used to say that over and over. And he kept moving forward, always moving forward, looking for what he wanted, and it was family. We heard that tonight. You know? He had a big heart for family. You know? One of his relationships, he was living in a camper up in Stafford, and it was fall. And I said, "You can't stay in your camper. Come stay at my place." "Nah, I don't want any inconvenience." A couple weeks later, it was getting colder, and Justin just started working for him then. And he finally came in and he stayed at my place with my daughter. And you know, he says, "I gotta give you something." I says, "Nah, you don't give me nothing." You know. A couple days later, I come home and there's a bunch of shingles in the front yard. He comes home later. I says, "What's with the shingles?" He says, "I'm gonna put a roof on your house." I says, "What?" He says, "Yeah, you need a new roof." All right, can't stop, Glenn. Couldn't stop. But that's the type of guy he was. The story about Gene told about the motorcycle, you know, it's funny because there was 6 or 7 of us, I don't know. And when the bike broke down, everybody was like, "I know somebody." And they were all making phone calls. And I was sitting back, I was watching. I said, maybe they'll find somebody. So no one found anybody. I said, let me make a phone call. Boom, boom, boom. And you know, just like Glenn, be right there. You know, be right there. I don't know how many thousands of times I called him or he called me, and we were able to help each other, you know, over the years. You know, I forget a lot of the memories, you know. Dennis was talking about being camping, you know. I remember him saying, "My daughter's coming with me." But there was one rule: she had to bring her friends with her. You know, and that's what it was like, you know. It was great. And, he called me 6 months ago. "Guess what, Mike?" I said, "What?" "I'm going to be a grandparent too." You know. Then a few months later, he called me back. He says, "Guess what?" I says, "What?" "She's going to have a daughter." You know. He's just, that was Glenn, looking forward. Gonna miss him. A true friend.
Don't know how well I'm gonna do with this, but I'm gonna try. Glenn was my baby brother. And growing up, our mom used to work nights. So I used to have to watch him while she was working. And take him everywhere I went. It's like having a little shadow. He learned to roller skate every weekend because that's where I wanted to go. If I was hanging out with friends out in the neighborhood, he was with me. I remember one time we were at these people's house, and I don't know exactly how it happened, but somebody hit him with a cigarette in the eye. And I thought, oh my God, my mother's gonna kill me. And he turned out to be okay. And I still had to watch him after that. You'd think I was irresponsible, right? No, still got to watch him through all of that. Right before spring, I had called Glenn and I said to him, Glenn, I got a problem. He says, what's that, sis? I said, we got a bee problem. I said, and we've had exterminators come out and they haven't really been able to do anything with it. Any ideas of what we should do? And he said, yeah, call your little brother. I said, well, I'm already halfway there. What do we do? And he says, I'll come out. He says, we'll take the siding down. We'll look inside. He says, with all the bees you're talking about, I'm sure you guys have got a nest in there. I said, okay, fine. So once the snow melted, Glenn came out with his ladder, climbs up right by the chimney, takes the J channel off, takes the siding off, takes all that stuff out, gets down to the insulation. He's got his flashlight, he's looking in there. He says, sis, there's no beehive. He said, I don't know what's going on in there. He says, but I got the spray. And psh, he says, I'm sure they're all dead now. If there was any left in there, they're dead. And he said, if you have a problem, just call me and I'll come back with the can. So we ended up sealing it all up, caulking, doing all that other fun stuff construction people do, because I have no idea. And you know, we haven't seen any more bees. But he was the type of person, drop anything, come help anybody, and I'm sure y'all know that. Father's Day, he calls me up, hey sis, happy Father's Day. Glenn, I'm not a father. He says, yeah, I know, but you've been like a father to your kids all this time. He said, before you got married. I go, yeah, you know, you're right. I said, happy Father's Day to you too. Little did I know, that was the last time I talked to him. I'm gonna miss him. He was such a sweet person. He had just started finding so much happiness, things him and Kristen were starting to do together all the time, really enjoying life. I hadn't seen him this happy in a very, very long time. Anytime he'd have a problem, I'd be the person he'd call. He says, I got this going on, and you know, it'd be like this AA meeting. All right, let's, you know, talk through this, and you know, I'll give you my advice, but ultimately do what you want. And I think he found comfort in it, or at least I believe that he did. And it's gonna be hard not talking to him anymore, unless I look to the skies and look for the little butterflies flying around, or some other symbolism that I'm sure he'll send, because he was very spiritual. I miss your brother.
Hi, everybody. My name's Darren. And I'm Glenn's oldest brother. I'm gonna tell you about Glenn's ability to have your back. We used to race at Riverside. And every once in a while, the competition would get a little tough. And one night, it got really tough. And we went out to the pit, or I went out to the pits. I was very angry, pissed. And I walked down to the dude, the driver that was driving the car that I was pissed at. And I walked up to him and he gave me the big old shove and sent me on my ass. By the time I got back up on my feet, Glennie was there. He like flew out of the sky. I don't even know where he came from. And he put a headlock on that dude and he would not let go. It took us a while to get him off him. But Glennie would always have your back. And he was proud of his last name. He was a Parenteau. He was always proud of his brothers. His whole family. But he was really proud of his brothers. And he loved to hang around with us. He was always there. And always have your back. Thank you.
I'm Patty. I'm Glenn's other sister that most people don't know exists. So, that's me. But one of the stories I wanted to share about Glenn was when I was moving from Chicopee to Ludlow. I had this huge, huge swing set that I got from Skips, and it was huge. And I was gonna leave it behind because it was just way too big, and it would require a lot of disassembling and reassembling. I was leaving it. Glenn said, absolutely not. We're taking that. And he took it all apart, and it took 2 truckloads and a lot of men to move that thing. It was all pressure treated. It was super huge and heavy. And there was Glenn at the drop of a hat, making sure that little Pinky had her swing set for my daughter. That was one of the things that I remember about him. It was so wonderful. And just recently, I stopped over his house to drop off some gifts for his daughter, who's having a baby. And you couldn't remove the smile from his face because he's so happy. He was so happy to be becoming a grandpa. And that I will keep remembering forever. And he's gonna shine on for everybody. He'll be watching over everybody because that's who he is and how he is. If anybody else wants to come up and share, feel free.
How are we doing? I am Glennie's my uncle. We are 12 years apart. He was like a bigger brother. Showing me a lot of things in life. Some wrong things, some right things. One thing he taught me most was you love your family and family first. It's really sad. I'm really hurt. I don't understand why. He was a very, very, very special person. And I miss him very, very much. Thanks, Mom. And the things he would do for people was unbelievable. Some of the things I didn't even understand why he would help people. I really didn't. But that was the kind of guy he was. You know, you say you give him a call, he'd come help you. No questions asked. I mean, I remember the first fight I saw. He wasn't in it, but he was there. It was my uncle there. And we were walking across the street, and I was with my uncle. I was proud. I'm a little 8-year-old, you know. I go across the street with my uncle and watch us fight. And my uncle Glenn told me, "You stand on the other side of the street, boy." And he wasn't kidding. And through life, he was always someone you could count on. I worked with him for a long time when he first started his business. He showed me a lot of things to do with your hands and how you can make money. And some of the reason why I am today is because of him. And I just really love him, and I miss him a lot. And I thank you all for coming.
Hi, I'm Johnny. I'm also Glenn's nephew, and I don't know, I wasn't prepared to come up and say anything, but you know, sitting there thinking about all the, hearing all these stories, it makes me think of some stories that I remember. And I don't know, I was probably maybe my daughter's age, and we were at the farmhouse down the street from here, and I was playing with all my matchboxes because I love cars, because it's in our DNA as well. He had pulled in the driveway with, I think, Trans Am. And I had all my matchboxes all over the driveway, and I gathered as much of them up as I could in my arms, and I went to go put them to a safe place, and I think I told him, like, hold on, I gotta grab some more, and he thought I said go. And he come in, he run a couple of them over. But he didn't just say, oops, sorry. He replaced it with a whole car carrier, a whole 18-wheeler full of cars for me, so that was probably, I think, my earliest memory of my Uncle Glenny. He kind of sets the tone of what I want to be for an uncle someday. I call him my funkle, my fun uncle. We just went on a fishing trip a couple weeks ago, and I posted some pictures online, and he says, you know, your Uncle Glenn, he's got a fishing boat too. I was like, yeah, but you never take me up on it. He goes, all right, let's put a trip together. Because I was always racing cars, and he was always on his boat, so we were getting to that point, like everyone says, he was so happy to be on his boat and fishing. And, so we were gonna put a trip together, and we kind of bonded with the whole love of motorcycles and stuff like that. And one of my stories is, you know, I'm good with a wrench. I'm not good at fixing houses at all, but that's what he was good at, you guys. And I bought a house recently in Agawam a couple of years ago. Every time it rains, the roof leaks in my garage, and this went on for like a year, and finally I decided to make a thing of it, and I asked Uncle Glenny for help, and he came right over, did whatever he did up there, recocked it, I don't know, it's fixed now. Just like my aunt has number of these, my roof has number of leaks. And yeah, I don't know, I miss him. You always felt the love with him when he was around, and yeah, he would do anything for you. He said, I'm gonna leave the ladder up there and the staging, just in case I have to go back up there in case it doesn't work. 6 months later, the ladder was still there. I'm like, yeah, Glenny, come on. And it turns out, yeah, he got busy helping everyone, you know, but I don't know, from as young as I was, I can start remembering to today, Glenny was always a great uncle. I'm gonna love him, miss him, like all of you guys.
I'm Glen's niece. He's a very, very great uncle. Back when I was younger and I was a teenager, I know I thought I knew everything that all the teenagers do. And, you know, I wanted to go out on my own. I thought I knew everything and I could do everything on my own. And I really couldn't. And Uncle Glenny asked me if I'd come stay with him because where I was staying was really not the best place to be. And he came and picked me up right away. Not even 20 minutes later, he was down there. And he came and got me. And I was doing very stupid things back then. And the first night there, he knew I wasn't eating a lot, so he made the humongous steak dinner for me. He honestly thought I was gonna eat the whole steak. And I told him, I was like, there's no way. He's like, you're eating it, you're eating it. I'm like, no, but he let me stay with him and live with him for as long as I needed. He's always there for everyone. You guys.
On behalf of the funeral, I just wanted to thank you all for coming. I go to hundreds and maybe even thousands of funerals, and I rarely cry, but I cried quite a bit tonight. Everybody says that everyone, when they die, is the best person, but I've just never seen someone so genuine as the people who came up tonight and spoke. I just felt like Glenn was the best guy. I think he really was. It's really powerful to hear from all of you, so I just want to thank you for sharing those memories, and I want to just ask that you would all continue to share those memories with Kristen and the whole family in the coming days and weeks, months and years, because I know that Glenn left quite the legacy in all of you. So just want to thank Glenn for giving us that legacy, and again, thank you all for coming. If you all want to come forward to pay your final respects, you may do so as you go to your cars, so the family can have some much needed private time before they too depart tonight. So again, thank you all for coming.